Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, StarCharge, Nokian Tyres, and Amber. StarCharge is the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. This video is also brought to you by Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made-in-USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantires.com/EV. This video is also brought to you by Amber. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check.
Hello, welcome back to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome back to a video with some Rivians. Not everyone knows, but there is a new Rivian R1. This is the new one right here. That's actually been in production a couple months, but people are just starting to maybe take deliveries. This is one of the first ones, of course. And the Rivian R1T newly refreshed generation is also coming out. Just now, like, starting to be built. So that's been a bit behind. But we're going to show you everything new. I know not everyone can tell it's new. I was just charging this earlier at a charging station and no one knew it was new. But this is a great way to show you guys side by side of what's changed.
It's new versus old. No one knows who's behind the camera.
Kyle is behind the camera, guys. And
I have no voice.
There's a reason I'm talking and he's not. Okay, so Kyle has done recently a 2-hour basically documentary on the new R1 series, the new generation. That'll be linked below. He has a lot of interesting information, obviously nerd level 9000 stuff, interviews with Wasim and other engineers, a lot of great details. But it's nice to have these kind of side-by-side, hands-on, without the pressure of the timing of the event, because Kyle didn't even get to do like drag racing like all the other journalists did, so was really in the weeds there. But this, again, first generation. This one specifically is quad motor. They started with quad motor, then they progressed to dual motor. They also now have a couple different battery packs, and it was just high cost entry-level vehicle. Think like what Tesla did with the Model S. But now they are trying to reduce costs a little bit with the new one, and they do sacrifice a little bit in materials, I think, but then they bring you some new features, so it's kind of 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. I was with Drew last night, who of course just got a new, but not the newest, like the last of the old R1T, and he was pretty shocked at just how some of the things felt. But this, again, outgoing one, it's quad, super powerful, stupidly powerful. I think this is like all the power anyone really needs.
Well, you can get that drivetrain in this one.
Yeah, so dual motor, these are the Enduro motors, right? So
yes.
Same motors, not much has changed with the dual motor as far as the motors themselves.
Yeah, so outgoing, you have to forgive my voice. Outgoing, they had dual motor and quad motor with the Bosch motors in Gen 1.
Yep.
They're only building dual motors right now,
yeah.
the Enduros.
Yeah, only dual motors. They will be having tri-motor coming later. That's going to be expensive. And then quad motor coming even later, which is even more expensive. We don't even know pricing on that yet.
That's a different quad motor than this quad motor.
Yeah, so those are all Rivian's motors. This had the Bosch motors, the quad motor, the Bosch motor, all that. But yeah, Rivian's all in-house stuff. So they're trying to improve the costs because, I mean, there's a lot of headlines of like, oh, Rivian's not going to survive. But if they, I guess increase their capital over what they sell them, whatever that word is, then they should be okay, maybe. I don't know.
I think the Volkswagen deal helps too.
The Volkswagen deal really helps a lot. But yeah, where should we start? I mean,
take us on a tour.
This is the tour.
Sorry to the viewers who have to listen to me. This is terrible.
It's rough. But I mean, we've filmed a lot with this, and notably recently me and Andreas were in similar to this one, but the actual dual motor Max Pack R1S and first gen, which was honestly great. So I'm glad I got to spend a lot of time with that to really see how that compares, because other than battery, I mean, it's pretty much going to be the same. And
yeah, so everyone knows the early cars, mechanical door handles, great thunk.
Oh, sounds good, feels good, opening it and closing it.
Nice interior, hard wearing. Sound system got worse over time.
Yeah, sound system's still not great. I think it peaked with the Meridian, which your early R1T had.
You have not heard the top spec system in the Gen 2.
Is that not what's in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Only Tri and Quad
Got it.
get the nice interior in the new one.
Yeah. Well, this is, yeah, not a great sound system.
Screen's locked. Sorry, it's in dog mode. So, improvements, Jordan. But exterior-wise, how can someone spot Gen 2?
From the back, the Gen 2 can only really be spotted with like little LED things here, which are not in this. This is just the old light bar.
Let's show everyone.
But we can walk over here to the new one, and I can even turn on like the emergency flashers to show you guys. But this new one has little segments, 10 segments across the entire back, which should be lighting up when you're charging. But let me throw the flashers on just so we can show you guys really quick. There we go.
You're gonna hit the emergency
Oh,
button.
right. There's an emergency.
Wait, let me show the viewers.
There we go. So now it'll show, which is a new feature. I mean, these are basically RGB LEDs, and so they have added functionality, but they are notably very dim. I don't know if you can see that. Can you
No,
see that?
you can only see them at night, really.
Yeah, so it's kind of doing a go across this, like, hey, pass me on the left. You can also do right. You can do split down the middle, so like go around me that way. So that's cool, but yeah, only super useful at night. They're not nearly as bright as these super bright turn signals. But the same situation is kind of up front. That light bar is completely redesigned. We saw, you know, the old light bar looks the same on the back other than the new little LED things. But this has LED things below it, but also notably a fairly three-dimensional looking light bar across the entire side. And that is very different than the old one. And I've heard mixed reviews on what people think, how they look. I guess show and tell turn. Oh yeah, I guess show and tell does turn off.
So, me personally, I do not like the new light bar. I love the old light bar. It looks so much better. I love the little, I don't know, jelly bean looking things in there. This is so much better.
Yeah, there we go. Wow. So the DRLs are a bit brighter on the new one, I think. They did redo, barely. And it might even depend on the viewing angle. Kind of like, yeah, interesting. So kind of like modern OLED TVs, the viewing angle on this is wider. Whereas these are bright if you're looking straight on. But if you go like to the side, they're a lot less bright, way less noticeable. So the entire stadium, as they call it, this is the stadium, was redesigned. Looks a bit different now. The lighting is different. They're now the, what's the word? Matrix LED lighting, which is like not quite fully legal for all of its functions, but I think they're working on that.
By end of year.
By end of year or so, and a lot of automakers could take advantage of that. I mean, they've had that in Europe for a while.
Let's hit the hazards because the turn signals have moved.
Right.
So Jordan will do that one, I'll do this one.
The turn signals used to be just turning off the DRL and replacing it with a turn signal. Now on the new one, there are no longer fog lights down below. With this, these are fogs. With the new one, they said they don't even need the fogs because this lighting is now so good it replaces fog lights. I think fogs look cool, but hey, whatever. I do think this looks nice, and I'm glad it keeps the turn signal on. I think that looks kind of silly, especially when I'm gonna just turn the turn signal on normally without the hazards, and then you can see exactly what I'm talking about, where it's just like one's lit up, one's not.
And it gets really dim when you do this.
Oh, right. It has to get dim because of the FMVSS requirements for turn signals and DRLs and how they interact.
Yes, this can maintain full brightness.
Yep. So that is an improvement, I think. I have to agree with them. It'd be cool if they had fogs and turn signals down there.
Absolutely.
I don't know, but otherwise, exterior, there's not a whole lot.
Mirror turn signals have changed too.
Oh, mirrors have, to match the front lighting signature.
Yep. So these have these cool blinds in it.
Same texture
I
as...
love the old one so much more.
It's the same texture as the old front light bar. I don't love it, but I don't know if I like this more. This is just like different, and I don't know if this is going to age well personally. I mean, the lighting is like a bit slimmer. You have this new dynamic adventure lighting, just to tell you that's what it is. Wow. Yeah. I guess another feature you can get on this is like blacking out the chrome, which is cool. A lot of people did that.
Yes.
Like a lot of people did that aftermarket or just DIY plastic.
Show people what you're talking about.
So here's what I'm talking about is this chrome like visor thing. That's how you could tell R1S versus R1Ts like front on earlier.
Yeah, because R1Ts don't have this.
R1T is like blacked out, but now you can get all of this blacked out, and also the rear valence, whatever you call this thing, this also would come blacked out, as well as the badges. A lot of people, again, did that afterwards, aftermarket, but now it has it from the factory, which is, I think, kind of the best way to do it. I think it looks really good. These are the 22-inch bright wheels. You can also get those blacked out, which also looks pretty good. There's also a new 22-inch aero wheel, which used to be, the aero wheels was a 21-inch, right? And they discontinued the 21-inch, so now it's just 22-inch aero wheel with caps that can be removed. We'll like put that over the screen because we don't have that, which I wish we had that for the range test, but we're just doing a range test with this.
3 to 5 miles more range.
3 to 5 miles
total than this. It's almost the same.
Very, very, very minimal difference. I think it was just a new wheel to show, which I think is cool. And there's also a new base 20-inch wheel, which is kind of cool. There's actually one in the showroom right now.
So that's the wheel to get.
That's the wheel to get.
It's a 33-inch,
yeah,
all-terrain-ish, all-weather tire.
Yep.
Excuse my voice. Versus, you can still get these, which are the 34-inch all-terrain.
And so that's
off-roady tire.
That's like the off-road package spec. And I think, I don't know, it just depends. Some people literally do buy the Rivian, which is a very capable vehicle, but they're only going to the mall or Starbucks or home. Like, this is just like a great spec. And I just did a 10% challenge with this. It was super great.
Well, we haven't even explained what batteries.
Sorry, this is the LFP.
So, we'll get into that in a bit. We're still going through the differences.
Okay, what else is different?
Door handles.
Door handles on this one.
This is the new one.
This is the new one. Look and feel a little...
So squeaky.
A little squeaky. And the door just feels lighter. This all feels a little bit worse. Pretty close, but a little bit worse. But they're not electronically... and what's funny is I do keep going for this out of habit.
Yeah.
And I open them that way.
With the emergency latch.
That's the emergency latch. And that's not actually... I don't know, is it bad for it? It's not. It's not like the Teslas where you get like the, don't do that, it's frameless door. This is not a frameless door, so you're fine doing that. But like, this actually is nice, and I think I would get used to it if I had one. It's just right where your thumb rests, which makes perfect sense.
To me, it's fine. It just, the electronic actuation feels a bit less solid and less premium than this, which is hardcore mechanical, so nice,
and that
so
is
solid.
Such a better door thunk. Like,
it feels
that's
cheaper
crazy.
getting in and out of the new one.
Yeah, and sometimes I will say I've had a few moments where like I go for it and like it isn't quite ready. So like then it's like kind of like not quite like the Model X, but like similar, where it's like, come on, just let me in my car.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and that could, I don't know, that could be attributed to some quirk with this, because there's some issues with this one in theory. Rivian just wanted us to point that out.
But it's only a window switch.
Oh yeah, well they said a window switch, but they just kept saying this is a beat up demo vehicle. I was like, okay.
1,600 miles on it.
Not many miles.
That's less than 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
No excuse.
One other notable change is the cameras. Cameras are so good in the new one, but even the layout, there's a camera here in the old one. There's nothing on that on the new one. They're all integrated into the mirror situation. The front one here, and then like a side one, and then a back one, and then another one. Just 4 cameras in this mirror assembly. I do wonder how expensive this is, like if someone just knocks it off.
This has a camera here.
That has 1, 2, 3, I think. Yeah, so 3 instead of 4.
2. Where's the third?
Underneath.
Oh yeah.
So it's 3 instead of 4, but that's where the 4th one is. And then even up front, there's actually like a slightly bigger pod thing. And there's a lot of, ADAS hardware for this. The ADAS is still a weak point, I think. I've been using highway assist all day, and it's been intermittent at best. I mean, sometimes great, like when it works, awesome. But I'm excited for them to invest more in the software of that, functionality of that, because it's still a bit rough. But they have a lot of sensors. They did not take the vision route. They have all these like super short range, and then like 2 medium range radars right here, a really long range radar right here, cameras everywhere. They're super proud of, really high resolution cameras. In fact, I should probably pull those up on the screen so we can show them.
On the way, can we talk charge ports?
Charge ports, yeah.
This is the new charge port.
New charge port, no more light ring around it. That was maybe a cost-saving metric. This does light up, so you can still see it, but that's really dim, just like these lights. Like, it's annoyingly dim.
Let's show the other one.
And here's the old one, which I think looked pretty nice.
Yeah, much nicer.
It definitely lights up the whole way around there, but otherwise it's, I mean, it looks really similar.
Similar functionality.
The new one does have the eject thing on it now, which is kind of cool right here.
Good for Macs.
So you can stop charging from right there instead of going on the screen or doing it from the charger, and some chargers don't even have that. So that's a thing.
Jordan, I also want to mention on the old charge port, this overheats the pins on the cables.
Right. See,
And it can cause fusing issues.
do we think that was addressed?
I've heard that this will be better for pin temperatures.
Yeah. So, cameras, they are just incredible. Like, that was a huge disappointment on the old Rivian, was just, like, good to have all the cameras, but really disappointing looks and resolution. It just looked like a TV from 2004.
And the turn signal cameras.
We now have turn signal camera, which we might have to be...
My door's open.
Oh, there we go.
It's also different where you tap the key to start it.
Yeah, and the phone charger is different.
Can you explain that phone key, or the key thing?
This is the key that comes with it. So did they not even have the key fob anymore?
No fob.
No fob, which is such a disappointment because that was such a cool thing. But this is easy to start it with. And just like a Tesla, if you unlock the car with this, it's ready to start. You don't have to unlock it on the outside by swiping on the door handle this time, not the B-pillar. And then
you tap it here versus the old one you tap on the door.
Yeah, the old one was over here. Now you tap it here. What's funny about that is this is now a Qi charger, so you can charge your phone, and it has a little rail in the middle so your phone doesn't slide as much, but it still slides forward. Here's my old iPhone. It still slides forward and then loses connection with the charger.
So it was a charger before as well.
Yeah, but what's funny is with the RFID stuff in this now, your phone just always thinks you're trying to access your wallet.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Anyways.
Wait, you can put my phone down to show.
There we go. So.
It'll probably do it on the other side.
Sliding that right there. Mine was doing it on both sides earlier.
Dude, the phone charger is still crap.
It's still not great.
No, it's terrible.
It's still
not great.
Let's try this side. Okay.
What are they doing?
Oh, there we go. But yours is not prompting for wallet access. Mine was prompting for wallet access, which is weird to me. I don't know why that side's working and not this side. Oh, there, no, maybe not. Both sides are working for me earlier. I don't know. It's still rough and it still overheats. That's the issue with wireless phone charging. It's a very inefficient way to charge your phone. Too much heat loss.
So why don't they do what Porsche does and actively cool
Porsche
them?
has active cooled. Someone else does too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a few good ways to do it. And so it's funny. Oh, there we go. Now it's just started charging. But then it'll overheat. But now, once it's overheated, you can pull it off the charger, put it right here. This fan will cool your phone down. I have a solution for you guys. But sorry, here's the cameras. I get distracted. These are such good cameras, like great resolution, definitely a lot more usable. I don't know if I want to say like class leading, but like they do boast the most resolution, which isn't necessarily the same as quality, but I don't have any issues with wondering where everything is.
So show us the cameras in the main screen. If you put it in drive, they'll pop up. And then hit turn signal.
There we go.
Yeah.
And there's a usable side turn signal. They added that after the fact, like in an update.
Just recently.
Recently. And it was kind of hilarious because they're literally using a cropped version of already a horrible resolution camera.
On the old one,
on the old one. And that was just really rough.
Well, we'll show everyone.
They're still doing a cropped version, but now it's a crop of a much higher resolution
But it's
screen.
still really warped.
It is warped. And I don't know how to get around. I mean, they could program some sort of fixing. I mean, we can do that in Photoshop. Like, you can fix a ultra wide angle photo and like change it so it looks less warped on the edges. So maybe they just haven't done that yet. I don't know.
While we're in here, we'll show the cameras in the other car, but the air conditioning system is completely reworked.
Yes, they moved the HVAC compressor to improve NVH, noise vibration.
And it's now a heat pump.
And now it's a heat pump. And it's still kind of loud.
It's different. Rather than screaming, when it vibrates, the whole car shakes.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, getting in that one, just driving over here, that, like, all my feet were vibrating, like, it was like crazy. So I think
It's much better.
it is an improvement for sure. They've done a few things with NVH improvements, like the motors mounted, and it's all, like, my ride up here was so nice.
Yeah, so the clutch disconnect's been reworked.
Yep.
And it's faster. And the motors are much quieter than the old dual motor.
Yep.
Because of isolation mounts.
Yep.
And, yep, and then the HVAC reworking makes a ton of difference.
Yep. So I've, like, all good changes, and I still feel like there's debate whether this is, like, truly like a refresh, or, like, everyone's making the equivalent of, like, oh, a new year of iPhone. Is it an S? Like back when they had like 6S, 7, 7S, whatever, or I guess they didn't have a 7S, but yeah. Is it truly a full redesign, or just like a mid-cycle refresh? But, like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's a bigger change than we feel as drivers, but I'll get into it because the whole electrical architecture is completely changed on the whole car. Let's go to the other side and show the cameras.
I just went for the same thing again. I don't use the buttons.
That'll come with time.
Well, and I want to mention while we're here, like, if anyone needs the emergency release, that's like behind this panel, I think.
Yes, the back seat emergency release is almost inaccessible.
Yeah.
You have to pop this off. It's not good.
There was a Tesla that did that too. I forget which one.
Don't know, but the front emergency release is available.
Front one's very easy.
All right, let's jump in here.
That is the camera from before, which basically just shows you if there's something there, but you might not know if it's like a car or like a cow or like something. It's just like, is it sort of clear? Which technically, I think, kind of does the job, more or less. But, like, opening the actual full suite of cameras, it is just noticeably worse, I think. It's not unusable. There are worse cameras.
I actually don't have any complaints about it.
Kyle doesn't care as much. I just am overly picky, I think. But it's definitely, it's not great. It's not class leading. It's also not class losing. I can't stand the VinFast.
Show the old phone charger.
Oh, and this is the old phone charger.
And it's better than my truck. My truck's a very early one, and it's impossible to get my phone to charge. At least on here, I can get a phone to charge.
But no one could, like, really tell exactly where the coils were, and so with Qi, you have to have them relatively lined up. Maybe not, like, perfect, but I wish Rivian had, like, I know it would be kind of Apple exclusive, not necessarily, like, you can charge an Android phone on an Apple magnetic charger, but, like, it'd be so great if it was an actual magnetic charger, which can charge it at a faster rate and produce less heat because it's so perfectly lined up. So that would have been awesome. But I know the aftermarket's going to go crazy with that. There already are people that I've met, Rivian owners, who have MagSafe chargers added onto this. But what else is different? It's funny how hard it is to think of the differences.
Oh, there's so many, Jordan. Think about the whole electrical architecture, all the new ECUs, the complete system, which is why the new one doesn't really feel that new. Yeah. Because it's, right now they're running similar features, but that one can go with so many more future updates.
So a huge thing is I guess the CPU and GPU powering everything. That one is claimed to be like the most powerful car on the road as far as computer capability, which excites me because you can do so many years and years of updates, and the computer is like made to handle it. Whereas this one, they will try to filter in updates, and we see some. I mean, we see like the new Unreal Engine stuff here.
Two fingers.
Oh yeah. But even now, I can tell it's not quite as smooth, and I don't know how much of the future stuff they're planning can actually be done here because of the computer restrictions. And we saw that with like early Model S, similar stuff, where the screen was fine when it came out, but after a few years of updates, it did start to slow down. That's just a technology thing in general. So having super powerful computers really excites me. I mean, we just did probably way too much of a video with the Mustang Mach-E, which is still underclocked as a computer. I do think like this really is pretty good in both Rivians, but I don't actually tell as a user that much. Like, it's not insanely snappy. Like when you got in the Cybertruck initially, you were like, oh my gosh, this is so liquid smooth. I don't know the refresh rates of these displays. I don't know what their construction is. I'd love to get more into the weeds on that, but there's a lot more capability. And then, like Kyle said, all of the ECUs around the Rivian are now simplified. They took out a few miles of wiring.
Yeah, so it's called zonal architecture.
Zonal architecture. So they have like an east zone, a west zone, a south zone, which is how they portray it with like the car. Like it's a bit more on this side, and this side. How they
so
separate
rather than
them.
having an ECU for a particular function, so like a headlight ECU or a seat ECU or a suspension ECU, you have them a bunch of functions baked into one controller for that area. It's really cool.
Yep. So, and yeah, if you want a Kyle with a voice on that whole thing, watch his video. Like, I know it's long, but you can put on like 1.5x or something or 2x and learn all about the architecture. And Rivian's people themselves explained it really well. And they had all these cool displays showing, like even when we talked about the ADAS stuff, there was displays showing it like under the skin, sort of.
So Jordan, all of those updates are really exciting and cool, but to the user, to you and me as drivers, you don't notice them today.
Yeah, not as much. And I actually...
Not at all. What do you mean not as much? If I hit the trunk open button, I don't care what ECU is doing.
Right.
As long as it doesn't...
That is one thing that doesn't... I think the cameras are a very noticeable thing. I guess you're right. There's really not a whole lot else. I guess the lighting signature, if you care about that. But what...
So, suspension.
Suspension is a huge difference.
That's the main upgrade for R1S.
Yeah, not so much the T. They didn't change as much on the T, but there wasn't much of an issue with the T. Your R1T still feels amazing. We just get it and we're just like, oh, this is awesome. But me and Andreas did, I guess almost 2,000 miles in the R1S, the outgoing one. And we were okay, like in the front, but like you could definitely tell it was porpoising a bit. It had that like rear porpoising effect. And I know like they're like, oh, like the kids complain, but it's like the kids aren't buying the car, like just deal with it. Like that's kind of our funny consensus with this is like, should you really buy the new one if the old one doesn't have that many things wrong with it? But I really think it depends what you care about, what you value.
Really reduces those porpoising.
The new one rides so nicely. And I'm mentioning this in my 10% challenge. I'll be doing the range test pretty soon here. And that's where I'm like literally on the highway feeling it. And it used to be, like this dual motor doesn't have a conserve mode. That's only the all-wheel drive quad motor. The dual motor, still all-wheel drive, just has all-purpose mode and you throw it in low suspension. That's the conserve, but there's no lowest suspension. And on lowest especially, rides really rough. So I'm curious to try on the old one. I'm curious to try like the new R1S with the quad motor. Maybe the tri-motor has that too. And then like see how nicely it rides super low down. Because this one is an improvement. Like riding low versus standard, low feels better than the low of that.
Okay, I would say I'm going to drive this a bit more, but I love the new suspension. And this car annoys me.
Yeah, the new one really does feel good.
So, lots of improvements in the like. Okay, there's some things that are worse. Door handles are worse. I don't know.
Just a bunch of little fit things.
Obviously, they made this car less expensive, but then it's got so much more compute, so much more software, so much better suspension.
Which I think are the things more people are going to care about. Like, I don't care too much if the door handle doesn't feel quite as good. It's a bummer, but that's like an offset. And they've changed how this is manufactured. They've changed the structural rigidity. What it reminds me of, Kyle, is like when the Model Y came out, and the Model 3 is like, they're basically the same thing, but the Model Y under the skin, like with how they did the giga casting and all the changes to that, is like, no one's going to know that the rear end is like 130 less pieces.
Right. If you look at a Fremont Model Y versus a Austin Model Y, they're completely different cars.
And no one's going to know.
Completely different body and weight. You would have no idea.
Right.
Similar to this. So, Jordan, this also gets third row heated seats.
Yes, it does. And eventually third row individual zone climate control. You can adjust the fan speed right now.
No. Not true.
Not true?
The third row is only fan.
Okay.
But the second row will get their own temperature.
Including the R1T as well?
T and S first and second generation.
Which you really need. That's going to be great. The dogs are going to be happy.
Yes, both of them will get it. But this gets colder, faster, and has much stronger AC than that.
Yeah, and second and third row heated seats. I would love to see, cooled seats, but that's another cost.
There's also the cool sunroof in the new one.
Yeah, which this doesn't
have it?
doesn't have the electrochromatic glass roof, which is awesome. I love that so many more cars are getting that. But this does have, the third row's fine, and you even have USB ports back there. I actually watched Joe Rady's video, and he complained about no USB ports, but he never opened the thing.
Oh.
So it's like just a little hidden compartment, and that's where the USB port is. So every passenger gets USB ports. I don't know why it shut off, but it's really quiet out here now.
Sorry for my voice. I really apologize. Exterior wise, this got quieter inside from HVAC, but this got a lot louder outside from HVAC.
So wherever they relocated it was...
Well, they relocated it right up front.
Oh, okay,
so
that
the
makes
heat
sense.
pumps right here.
Yep.
And the fans and the radiators. And so when you were parked in front of my house, it was way louder
like
than a combustion car.
A train just sitting there.
It was so loud.
Yep.
Just running air conditioning.
Pretty wild.
So I'm not sold on Rivian's thermal management. Okay, so those are like the main differences people will see.
Yep.
Let's talk batteries.
Yep.
This has a completely new battery option.
Yeah, this is the LFP battery, which I think they claim 92.5 kilowatt hours usable.
Yep.
I definitely delivered more than that to the charger, but there was a lot of cooling happening because thermals.
Absolutely.
So that's
What'd you
expected.
deliver, 100?
About 99, yeah.
And that's what we did in our first LFP.
Yeah. So LFP is an interesting battery. It's 270 miles EPA. I'll be finding out today, which will be another video on the range test, how far it really goes at 70 miles an hour. But I'm fairly impressed so far, and I'm intrigued by LFP cars in general. Like, I think that new LFP Model 3 is like one of the best cars to have, because a lot of people are scared of trying to optimize for not keeping your battery at like a certain percentage, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with that. Us nerds think that's really fun and kind of like cool, but this thing is funny. Like, you get in it and it just says charge limit 100%, and it's just, you click the little I and it says recommended. It's like, cool, that's so easy for so many people. So even though it's a less range noticeably than the larger packs, the large and the max pack, you can use 100% of that range at any time. Whereas the other ones, you can stretch it and do 100% charge for a road trip. It's totally fine. But like, technically, the more higher you charge it consistently, the harder it is on the battery, which could result in longevity. It'd be interesting to study these, after 100, 200,000 miles. We don't see that many.
LFP will still degrade.
Yeah.
But you need to full charge it to calibrate it.
It
so
won't-
you don't want to leave it at 100 all the time.
Yeah.
But you want to calibrate it there.
It likes to revisit its 100%
It
home.
needs to. Otherwise, it could shut off randomly.
Which, yeah, don't want that. So, but this is the base model battery, which
But
is...
also, the LFP's thermal management seems much better than the high nickel chemistries
Yeah,
of the other ones.
because of like the cooling strategy, the cooling plates, and
Yes.
even the sensors of where they are and how accurately they can measure it. So LFP seems like a pretty good option.
This is the one to get. This exact truck, standard, dual motor, LFP.
Yep. No tax credit, which is a bummer, but I guess
Lease it.
maybe in the lease that works out.
People are just going to lease these things.
Yeah.
Dude, they're already depreciating.
Yeah, but that was my consensus so far. Is this is just such a compelling vehicle for the price, especially like 3-row SUV. I know on our race to Vegas, we're like, okay, here's a $100,000 Rivian, but it's like this one you can get for 76 if you don't spec white paint. Like, that is pretty good deal.
Amazing.
I know it's not cheap, but like that's why we have the Leaf deals for like if you want a cheap EV, like, oh, you need 3 rows, get 2 Leafs. The 4 rows right there.
Well, EV9.
An EV9 is definitely cheaper than this. But once you spec the EV9 to where you really want it, then that's a compelling argument versus this. Like, EV9, GT line or Wind is competitive with this pricing. And then I'm curious, like spec for spec, piece for piece, this is way better software, route planning, all that.
Do you mind if I drive this one real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's go for a drive.
All right. The hoodie's back, but the voice is not, so that wasn't the problem.
That wasn't the problem. I really am sorry. I'm going to keep everything how I drive it normally, which is standard, soft, everything. No high regen. What the heck?
Yep, no high regen without quad motor. That was the same on the dual motor of the outgoing R1.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure me and Andreas looked at that too.
No, I think there's a bug in the newest software update.
Oh, really?
Which is this one.
Yeah.
That forgot to give high regen to non-performance dual motor.
Oh, that would make sense. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Bugs happen.
So, yeah. Okay. Let's go play around with this. So instantly much quieter motors
Yeah.
than the R1 Gen 1 dual motor.
Yeah.
Sorry for the voice.
All the NVH is impressive in here, and
Much quieter.
like it is funny. Like yeah, now that you mention it, outside of both of them, they were both just stupid loud.
But this is way louder.
But this is louder on the outside, but on the inside, it's like really
Much quieter.
nice in here.
These are our neighbors. They have an R1S.
Nice, good spec.
Yep. They're
Matte
cool.
green.
So, yeah, this feels much nicer from a dual motor perspective. And it is missing high regen. Because I just flew up on that
Yeah.
side. I'm going to do a quick, no sport mode. Because
No
it's
sport
not.
mode either.
It's also my first time driving a new LFP Rivian.
Right.
So I'm going to launch it.
I genuinely think it's plenty of power.
Yeah, let's see, we're at 76%, but it'll make full power to very low percentage.
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1. Wow,
I feel like it's plenty of power.
you don't need any more.
610 pound-feet of torque, 533 horsepower.
Here's the thing with Rivian. They give you more power the lower your suspension is.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you drive in standard suspension. So when you floor it here, it feels almost the same as the dual performance.
Yeah.
So there's really not much benefit to get the higher spec power.
Yeah, base model, still 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, which is, anything sub 5 is just like great in an SUV.
This is a mom car. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to go crazy, get the quad motor. Right? The tri-motor is pretty cool too, but you're already so close to the quad, just get the quad.
Yeah. You know, it's really good we don't have the old one with the AC compressor, because we wouldn't hear you. There would just be AC noises.
Dude, this thing rips.
Yep. It's
Feels
so
really
great.
good. Yeah, I'd like to get it on the highway and try some of the suspension as well.
Yep.
I've already driven it on the first drive, but not on the roads that I drive
Yeah.
every day here. So my impression is, just to sum up, Gen 2 to the end user is almost the identical experience as Gen 1.
Yep.
There is a lot under the hood that most people won't know about, won't care about, doesn't matter to them.
Yep.
But it's nice to know that's in there. And it's cool that this can support future updates beyond what the current Gen 1 can do.
Yeah, right now I have no issue recommending people just go find a nicely depreciated Gen 1, but in 5 years of updates, I wonder if I would say the same thing.
Now, if you're going to keep it for many years, get the Gen 2.
Yeah.
Because this has all the new electrical architecture and stuff. But if you're just going to have it for a couple years, a couple year lease, whatever, get a Gen 1, save the money. There's some good deals on them still.
Yeah.
And it'll be some time until we see a big departure from a feature level.
Yeah. But this is so nicely future-proof, so I'm a fan.